Hello, and welcome to the Sunday League Pundit Show, episode 59. This week, something very, very different, because Jim Jam let us down at 4 p.m, at which point, an hour ago, Shane very kindly stood in.
Well done.
And is going to be with us for the first part. And as we said last week, Vinnie is also joining us again, because the episode he joined us on was ruined by a ridiculous amount of echo. In which we then replaced half the equipment
which
that
we've
got.
now rectified.
Well done.
And is now sounding a lot better. Yes. So, gentlemen.
Hello.
It is very different. We don't have a Jim Jam stat.
No one likes him anyway.
We can talk about the week's events.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if we quickly go into that, obviously you're a United fan, so...
Do we have to?
Well, this is a soap opera, isn't it? You could
Mate.
make a whole night just about the latest developments of today.
Thankfully, I missed the game yesterday. I caught the highlights this morning.
I was going to say, because you had a game on Tuesday as well, didn't you? You got two this week.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was mentioning the Tuesday game. But you
Can't imagine why you wanted to mention the Tuesday game. I'll be honest, I didn't watch that either.
It actually wasn't Tuesday, it was Wednesday, so that was my mistake.
I've said before on this podcast that I'm more into my non-league now. I'm more into my non-league and my NFL. So, like, Premier League...
I started the NFL thing with the Amazon watch-alongs.
It's too commercialised. And you've just got a bunch of overpaid prima donnas.
Well, that I think we can all agree on.
Crock of shit, mate.
100%,
I don't like
think
it
we can all
at
agree
all.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at least with the NFL, you see thunderous hits from guys that are 5'2" taking on guys that are 6'4" or whatever, and like it's
and
just
not crying about it.
and not crying about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Not banging the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in agony, but I'll still bang the floor.
And like the thing I like with the NFL is it's so tactical. Like the amount of effort that goes into it, it's
I've
just
seen
a
they've
whole
showed like
different
some of them
game.
playbooks and stuff on
Yeah,
the Amazon thing.
it's
I'm like,
insane, mate.
I've got no idea.
They've got
any of that
playbooks
means.
that are like 100 pages long, and
It's
people
insanity,
have to
innit?
learn them and
I know them by
remember
name,
Yeah,
because they'll
know
just
them by
shout a name or a
Yeah.
colour or something to do something, and you're
Yeah.
meant to know exactly what you're meant. Yeah. Do you know what? Not for me.
Well,
My intelligence level's not.
I will watch it.
It's not that high.
I will play the game, which by the way is fantastic.
You're on about the Madden.
Madden, yeah.
Yeah.
Madden's special, mate. Brilliant.
Never really tried it.
Oh yeah, it's class. If you want to learn about the NFL, just playing Madden will help you massively.
All right.
So yeah,
Something
and then
to learn, isn't it?
other than that, non-league's where it's at with me. Our game got called off on Saturday morning, which was lovely.
Who's our then?
Say again.
Who's our?
Stafford Rangers.
Oh, the Rangers. Okay,
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our game got called off due to Storm Dara the dickhead.
Well,
we are now
yeah.
renaming it.
We, as in Macclesfield, got knocked out by Altrincham on penalties 4-2
Nice.
after getting one of our best players, Paul Dawson, sent off in the 24th minute, and we
Wow.
drew 0-0.
Wow. So you still
Okay.
did well.
And they're 2 leagues above us, so honestly, I don't.
You're not angry.
I'm not that
Yeah,
irritated
yeah.
by it, because they held on for 70 minutes basically with 10 men
Yeah.
against a team 2 divisions above us,
Yeah,
who are
yeah.
also our bitter rivals.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a
And
bit of
then
a
only-
local derby, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
only lost on penalties, so you can't be too salty about
No,
that,
no,
really,
no.
can you?
Well, that's the thing. If you know they put a shift in and still only lose by something
By a lottery.
like penalties as well, yeah. It
The
is a
lottery of penalties.
Yeah.
You can practice, you can rehearse, you can have names written down on a what's
Yeah,
it. Like it's
Doesn't
all
mean anything,
bullshit,
does it?
mate. It don't mean nothing.
No.
No, I agree.
I think the other thing we make, you have to take the wider perspective. And the wider perspective with Macclesfield is everything's pretty okay.
I would
It's
say
a club,
so, yeah.
club definitely. on
I
that.
think that's an understatement.
Maybe so, but you can't say that about every club. And coming back to Stafford Rangers, it's a club that certainly over the last decade or so seems to have been in terminal decline. I think results, the last couple
It's
of
been a
games
bit
might have
painful
improved.
for you,
It's
hasn't
been-
it, recently?
Okay, as a fan, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't always been such a massive fan.
Yeah,
I've always kept eye on results and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
only been like the last 4 seasons really that I've
Right.
made more of an effort to get in there.
Okay.
And yeah, it's tough, it's
Yeah.
painful, but
Yeah.
it's non-league. That's what,
It's part of the
you've
journey,
seen,
isn't it, at the end of the day?
You've seen teams like Bury. Look at what's happened to them.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
Macclesfield are the same. We started from the
Yeah.
Well, Macclesfield.
We were just
are more,
lucky with
They're more
Rob
of a
Smethurst.
Phoenix club sort of thing.
There's a few. Hereford was the same. wasn't it?
Hereford,
It's a bit
yeah,
of a
you've had
Phoenix club.
loads of them that
Think
have all gone under.
Nuneaton have kind of.
And yet, Stafford Rangers, they're still going.
Well done.
still fighting.
I mean, it's step 4,
Yes.
which is tough, but we've got a forward-thinking manager. We've got a forward-thinking assistant manager
Well
that
done.
work really, really well
Yeah,
together. And he's building a really decent squad now, I think, that's going to, for this year, survive.
Yeah.
For next year, hopefully, as long as he can keep the same group of players,
Right.
I think we'll push on.
Well done. Now, this has been brilliant. This has been a great lesson, our first 5 minutes in deflective psychology. We was going to have a good chat about Man United
Do you know
and the
what?
sacking of
I
Dan
was
Ashworth.
hoping-
Sacking, leaving by mutual
I was
consent.
hoping you wouldn't pick up on that. But, yeah. I mean, obviously, from what I've read today about Dan Ashworth leaving,
Yeah.
it's all because of Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe's had a lot to say with Dan Ashworth's position.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes in a football club. You're never going to,
No.
not
unless
properly.
you're part of it.
Yeah.
So, like, it is what it is. It's Manchester United. They're not going to fold tomorrow. You know what I mean?
No. I think the thing is, if you look at Manchester United as a football club, see, I know the Premier League is a massive, massive business, globalised business.
Yeah.
But you look at Manchester United as a football entity,
Yeah.
and it looks wrong, it smells wrong, it tastes wrong. I mean, I did say on the podcast, which we had to write off, the closest some of them players should be to Old Trafford is Edgeley Park. Stop. And I wouldn't wish him on Stockport because it is the quality. I mean, ultimately, we can talk about directors of football and we can talk about head coaches, all that. But the sides that continuously win are those with the best players.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
And there's no doubt Liverpool are at the top because probably the best player in the Premier League at the moment, Mo Salah, is absolutely shining.
Plus,
Yeah.
let's go to how many managers have you had in the last... Well, since
Well,
Ferguson left. Are you telling me that every single one of their managers has failed? Because for me, the players have failed.
No.
Players have
No.
definitely
Players have
failed.
failed.
I think...
You can't go from... Rashford a few years ago was one of the best in the world.
See, for me,
Now
I
he's
don't think
just not
David
there.
Moyes failed as such. David Moyes inherited a shit squad. The squad
Yeah.
was terrible.
They were
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the
unlucky
only
they won the year
reason,
before.
we won the Premier League when Ferguson left was because of Ferguson. Extraordinary
100%.
manager with ordinary players.
Yep.
You know what I
Couldn't agree
mean?
more. Couldn't agree
And
more.
behind the scenes was failing. I think Ferguson knew how much of a shit show it was behind the scenes,
Yeah,
and he
I
saw
agree.
it only getting worse, and that's why he bowed out.
Yeah.
I know there was all that stuff about his wife and losing his sister-in-law or something like that,
Yeah.
but fair enough, you can't say nothing about that. But I think the decline in the back of house at Man United also had a part to play.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I think there's two things with the Man United. There's their decline, and then there's the advancements of other clubs.
Yeah.
Because whether anybody likes it or not, Manchester City as a club, I know you have views about Pep, has advanced it to the next level. Arsenal are at least having a go, and I'll never not knock clubs for
With Pep's clone.
absolutely.
No, with Pep's assistant manager.
Pep's assistant.
And he's still an assistant manager.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool have advanced. And again, I'm not just talking about the Klopp era. Little by little, they have bought their ground up from 40,000 to 48,000 to
Yeah.
54,000. They're within their kind of structure, they have advanced. And I think that's been one of the problems for Manchester United, and this is why I think it'll be a long time back for them.
Stagnant.
Yeah,
Stagnant.
it is actually, while they've actually gone backwards, other clubs have,
look at Old
have
Trafford.
advanced.
Old Trafford's falling apart. It's basically a Lego set, just
Yeah,
waiting for
yeah.
somebody to come and stand on it.
Not as bad as the stand I sit in the Villa, which opened in 1977, and they've spent about £2.50 on it
Fun fact.
since
Fun fact. You'll
1977.
appreciate this fun fact. I once sang on the pitch at Aston Villa.
Oh, God. Right.
X Factor.
Wow.
It wasn't "We're Going Down," was it?
No, I can't even remember. In all honesty, I was hungover to shit, and I only went because my mate was driving.
Oh, right, okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'll still go, and I was hanging, and I didn't really do a good job.
In those days, towards
all good
the end of the Randy Lerner era, he was probably writing anyway to see we going down.
Well, it was a good 16 years ago. 15, 16 years ago now.
Right.
I was about 25, 26.
Okay.
So,
Nice. I can't say I would have the balls to sing on a football.
mate, I did it at the
No.
Emirates. Not long after the Emirates was built and completed. I think it was the first season.
They did hold X Factor there.
It was the first season. I got there at 6:30 in the morning, which from here to that end of London, it's a big jaunt. So we left at like 4 just to get there. Stood up till I think I eventually got seen at 3:15.
That's a day and a half, that is.
Oh,
It is.
isn't it? I got massively sunburnt. And came
never
back
Yeah.
to my Sunday League team's presentation night.
All right.
1 goal of the season from scoring inside my own half.
Nice.
Meant it. Ended up twatted in the middle of Zanzibar. All good fun.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So while we were...
Anyway, back to the football.
Yes.
Let's talk about Arsenal.
Yes, Arsenal and our assistant manager that we have in charge, and for some reason people keep singing his praises. We were playing Man U on Wednesday, obviously doing okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was Wednesday, I've just checked.
Oh, was it Wednesday?
I got it wrong by saying Tuesday.
Mate,
that
I
was
don't
my
even
mistake.
know what my days
I
are
apologise.
in a minute anyway.
That was my
Yeah,
error. And we were doing quite well.
Yeah.
Then we have the usual Mikel Arteta and friends. The subs come on: Zinchenko, Jesus, and Sterling.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus came on today.
And what happened? We looked like garbage.
Yeah.
Then we played today, and we'd start losing, albeit by breakaway goal that was defended quite badly by Saliba
Yeah.
for once. You can't knock the guy. It's not like he makes many mistakes.
Yeah.
Guy's phenomenal.
And poor goalkeeping again by
Shocker.
Raya.
Oh, here we go. I was waiting for the latest Raya rant.
Yeah, well, it's not a rant because he's been pretty good this season. I haven't got too many complaints about him this season.
Unlike Onana.
But he did make a bit of a boo-boo today. He was too close to his near post and then couldn't get across to save it. Anyway, we should then still have won the game. We go to 1-1, then we need a goal.
Yep.
So we bring on Jesus.
Yes.
Oh, mate. Did you see his first touch?
A beautiful ball gets played over the top.
Yeah, but did you see it?
And he just stopped.
Did you see his first touch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Less said about that, the bear.
He is not a footballer.
Well, he might be, but it's what level?
I don't understand how he's Brazilian.
Yeah.
He's not. I think he's Scottish.
Hey, don't knock the Scots. I'm a big McGinn fan, let me
Oh,
tell
mate.
you. Super John McGinn, no.
Just honestly, I don't see what Arteta sees.
In Jesus.
Or Zinchenko, or Marino, or Sterling, or any of his other friends that he's signed
Ex-Man
for the
City,
club.
mate. That's why.
Yeah.
Thinks they're amazing.
Yeah, because they're all his mates.
Yeah.
Well, stop signing them. We're not interested in your friends. They're
Yeah.
no good. Sign the players that you don't know, like Calafiori and Timber, and the guys that actually are decent. Like, stop signing your friends.
It is a
I'm glad Edu's gone, because he was part of the problem
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just need to get somebody in that's going to turn around to Arteta and go, look, this is not
Dan Ashworth.
Mikel Arteta FC.
Dan
Well,
Ashworth.
He actually might turn up there. I mean, you just never know, because obviously Dan Ashworth, with the work he did at the FA, work he did at Brighton, work he did at Newcastle, although that was a short tenure, he's held in very, very high esteem. For a guy to oversee, I think it was the under-17s and the under-20s, England both won their tournaments.
If he's well in with the FA, he's going to know David Dean, isn't he? Because he's still in with the FA. And
Yeah.
David
Yeah,
Dean was
yeah.
massive
He's
for Arsenal
up there,
for
though, with
years
the
and
FA,
years
isn't
and
I
years.
wouldn't think he's going to be out of work for
No,
too long.
I can't see it.
But this is the thing when you talk about about Arsenal, it is very, very fine margins. And then the players you've just mentioned, I think are good players, but they're not potentially going to win you the league. And that's how ruthless you have to be.
You don't even have to look necessarily at the league anymore. Everyone wants Champions League. Everyone wants European glories.
That's
now.
a bane of my life. See, for the Champions League, for me, has promoted mediocrity. Because finishing fourth, you shouldn't get no reward for finishing fourth.
No,
and
I
I
agree
say
with
that
that.
as a Villa fan who finished fourth last
Top
season.
two,
and we've probably got...
Top 2 in FA Cup.
I disagree. Unless they're going to change the name of
The
it.
only reason you disagree is because you're Arsenal. You always finish fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm disagreeing with is the top 2 should go to the Champions League.
Yeah.
Top 2 and the FA
Whoever
Cup.
wins the league should go to the Champions League. It's the Champions League.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you are not champions of your country,
I'll
you
give
should
that.
not
But
play in the
that's
Champions League.
that's part of the
When
problem.
was the last time a champion won the Champions League?
Yeah. Well, I think this is part of the problem is even your Man
Because
United...
I think the year City won it, Liverpool won the league.
I can't even remember who won the Champions League last year.
That's how important the Champions
I
League is.
genuinely
It was
don't.
our friends in Madrid again, was it?
Was
if
it?
they want the top 2 or the top 4 in it, call it the European Cup.
Yeah.
Don't call it a Champions League when
No.
it's not
Yeah.
the champions competing in
No.
it.
But
You
I-
had Liverpool versus Spurs in it a few years ago.
Yeah.
Which one of them won the league?
Yeah.
Because it was City 3 times in a row when them two were in
Spurs
the
Yeah.
haven't
final.
won anything.
See, and that's the
Although
thing.
Leading 2-1
Champions
against Chelsea.
League.
I think that's part of the reason Ten Hag got the sack. He won the League Cup, he won the FA Cup. That's not classed as success.
Yeah.
But finishing fourth in the Premier League, which for me is no success at all, would have been.
Yeah, but
This
okay,
is what
with Ten
great
Hag,
signing.
right,
Yeah.
as a fan
United
of observer of football,
Yeah.
did you recognise the style of play that he played?
No, of
Yeah,
course.
winning.
Of course I didn't.
Winning.
Bar,
But did they enough?
not
I don't think
enough.
so.
Bar,
Oh,
the
but
FA
Arteta
Cup.
has won enough.
Well,
And he's
Yeah.
won nothing.
Yeah.
So this is the mentality I don't understand with Arsenal fans and the
Yeah.
Arsenal board. Ten Hag won you 2 trophies, and that's not good enough.
Plus what he won at Ajax, of
Arteta,
course.
and this is a direct quote from, but the clueless Gabby Bonglahor.
oh,
yeah,
is-
yeah.
Mikel Arteta is one of the top 5 managers, and I quote, in the world. Oh my God.
I've heard better opinions in this shed than anything Gabby Agbonlahor has ever
sure if I
said
go that
in
far,
his
but-
life. Mate, tag him in this. Gabby Agbonlahor, you're a donut, and you can take Robbie Savage with you.
Gabby, you're a top man, mate, a top Erdington
Oh,
lad.
you need
That's-
to shut up.
Listen, I think the thing is as well, though, you have to remember radio shows deliberately have their pundits say controversial
of course they
things
do. Of course
to
I mean, they
get
must do.
so I can't. Do you remember the late great Tony Butler, one of the original kind of godfathers of the football phone?
No.
He potentially was the first one in the football phone. And he worked for a Birmingham radio station called BRMB. But before he started the show, they sent him off to Canada to work with shock jocks.
Right, okay.
So literally they could get their audience angry, they could activate the drive system and the threat
That
system.
sounds interesting.
So people would get more involved.
Yeah.
Because, of course, there's nothing worse than people turning off because you're a boring old so-and-so. So I'm pretty sure...
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Hello?
sure Gabby would say things which in
Just
his
to
heart of
aggravate
hearts,
people,
just
yeah,
to aggravate
yeah.
people. Because you can imagine people who support the Spurs, can't you? Listening, this is the top 5, one of the top 5 coaches, and that's straight on the phone. But of course, that's what they do. Because the more social media hits they get, the more phone calls they get.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, for me,
it's
like,
the way
don't
it
get
is.
me wrong, one of the best strikers that I've seen at Villa, probably not as good as what you've got now, but at the time, he was great. You know what I mean? He
Super.
did a really good job for the Villa. He was there for a long
He
time.
was. And he's one of your own,
He
of
was
course.
he was a stalwart for the club.
Yeah.
He was a great player.
He might be a
fond memories
really
of Gabby.
nice guy. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
think he's a bit of a cock.
Always scored against Birmingham as well. And generally on the corner, he used to keep them out on the post.
Yeah.
The amount of,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
amount of
Yeah,
things
he was
Gabby's
strong,
got
always
off,
strong,
off
yeah.
the line.
He was a
So,
good
good lad.
footballer. Like, there's no two ways about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Very good footballer.
Yeah, I don't like
just-
him.
it's just
As a
opinions are a
pundit, I
bit-
don't like
No.
him. No, like when he's on Talk Sport or whatever it is. Nah, I'm not
No.
his biggest fan. But
No.
Simon Jordan does the same,
Yeah.
and he's a bit of a penis.
I
Yeah.
quite like Simon Jordan.
You would.
Yeah.
I do
You're
like
a bit
Simon.
of a penis.
A bit more than a bit, but I do quite like Simon Jordan. I like his
Yeah.
opinions.
Some
and
of
I
his
like-
opinions I agree with. But again, like you say, is he just saying a lot of shit just to
I think
aggravate
so.
people and get people talking about him and his show?
If it didn't, it would soon be off the air. I am sure management at Talk Sport, as well as football-related websites, will have data. Everything's pretty much data-driven this day and age. And if basically you're not getting the listeners and especially the interaction with people, I think you'd soon be off air. Because if you're not creating an action or a reaction, what you're doing on there in any way.
Yeah,
so I think you'd soon get...
You're not going to get people watching.
Short shrift,
You're not going to get people interested.
And of course then you've not got the revenue coming through the advertisers of the shows and that. So, I think there's some who come across as being a bit opinionated simply because that's the ruse to get people listening,
we get accused of that all the time when I put the shorts up.
Oh, yeah,
People comment underneath a lot of the shorts saying you're only saying that to get clicks.
Yeah, but
or
it's
you're
a crack
saying...
with you lot.
And I'm like, I'm not, though.
Yeah, it's just
If you
honest
like-
opinions. Yeah.
How many clicks do you think we're going to get? Nobody's heard of us.
Well, you see, here's the thing as well.
Who are you?
You don't care about clicks. You're just doing it for the crack.
Yeah.
But I did it just to get together with my mates and chat about football.
Yeah.
We put it online just so that we could say to the women, like, oh, we're going to have to do it tonight. Cause,
we've got following now.
yeah.
How many followers you got? 2.
Yeah, and people going, you're doing it with clicks and likes. Mate, there is 200 people following us. There's
And that's
17 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
How big a population do you think we've got? We've got no following.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally our mates that are subscribed to us and
that's
watching.
And not all of them.
So,
do you know
that's
what?
the thing, it's
Again,
not all of them.
it's more for your own personal benefit. Like doing this, like it is a good crack and it has a laugh. And you can argue about football. Football for me is a cornerstone of keeping a mental health together.
100%.
For a lot of men.
It
Really is. Football, it's not just a game. It is a life. It's a way of life.
Well,
of course it is.
Coming back to the old kind of motivational theory, we all need a sense of belonging.
100%.
Yeah.
And that, for me, goes twofold with non-league sides.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a lot more close.
I think that's true. I think now, speaking as a Villa fan, there is now a chasm between me and my club.
Because you go and stand at Villa
a
lot. You've got a season ticket.
I've still got my season ticket at the Villa.
You go to Stafford Rangers basically every game now.
Yeah.
And I want to go, and just before you go, I want to go into your social media with your JRI.
Yeah.
And the Villa just treats us
and I'll
like...
go and stand at Macclesfield, but I won't go to the Emirates. I've been to the Emirates once in the last few years, and it was to take my sons to watch the women.
Yeah.
Arsenal women against Tottenham women.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't mind that.
Yeah.
Because it was North London derby. My son's a Tottenham fan, and I refused to go to the men's game because it would, for what it cost me for the entire day.
Yeah.
It would have cost me for one
just
ticket.
for the ticket.
This is for me. I've been a Villa fan for 50 years. I saw Andy Gray make his debut for us in October 1975.
Jesus.
So
That's before I was even born.
Now, I can honestly say, hand on heart, for them 50 years, I've been a season ticket holder between 30 and 40 years of them. But I'm done after this season.
Oh, yeah.
There's an increasing chasm. I mean, as any Villa fan knows, the price range for the Champions League, the cheapest seats
Do you know what?
It's 85 to 97
We've had this
quid.
conversation with Stafford Rangers lot.
And it's just you're just there, you know. Nothing is ever enough financially. That is the problem.
It's greed.
The Villa kind of...
You're a lot of the worst.
During the summer...
Have you heard what they've done recently?
Yeah, during the summer, the Villa kicked out 900 season ticket holders who's had seats for years. We talk about sense of belonging. They'd sat with the same people for years after years. Come the summer, the Villa... operations people kicked them out so they could have seats for what's called GA customers, which is General Admission Plus, GA Plus customers, who literally in the Villa won it. So them people spend as much as a weekend football tourist as we do on our season tickets for the year.
Yeah.
So they want people to go in and spend 250, 300 quid per game. I mean, my season ticket as well has gone up. This is in recent years from 420 to 480 to 530 to 601. Now it's 640.
Right.
I used to get a cup game included in that. That's now been taken out as well. You know, you used to get your first. So So, and this is the thing, nothing ever seems enough. Now, of course, this same argument, oh, but we're Champions League. Yeah, but I'm still a lollipop man who's doing my best to kind of make ends meet. And, you know, A, it's got too expensive, but secondly, I don't think, you know, we usually throw away strapline on the wall. It's the greatest league in the world. I don't see the evidence on a week to week basis.
I don't see any evidence
for
at
me.
all.
For me, it's been in decline since Ferguson and Wenger left.
Yeah.
That's my honest
When
opinion.
one team has won 7 out of 8 titles or 6 out of 7,
Yeah.
that's not the greatest league in the world. That's Scottish football. That's
Yeah.
German football.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
That's
Well,
German football.
don't
I wanna
knock
go-
it, 'cause
I
that's
want
even
to go into the German thing in part 2 because I know you've been over there.
I know.
with Villa.
I should come back because I am now going to become a football tourist myself, but I will be going to Germany.
just
but we'll
before-
talk about that
Get
later.
yourself into non-league, mate. Come down to Rangers.
Just before
Yeah.
we finish this off,
Okay.
because I know you've got to go soon.
I have, yes.
Right.
NFL Sunday, mate.
I really want to talk about JOI
Okay.
and where you're up to
Because
because I do watch your videos.
yeah.
I love the content. The kids make me laugh, mate. Honestly, they're brilliant.
Well, a lot
so
of
where
it
are we
now,
up to now?
that we've lost 2 of the lads, unfortunately. There was a bit of online abuse.
We talked a bit about that last time.
Yeah,
didn't we? 'Cause
there
you
was
were
a bit of
getting
online
stick.
abuse, and 2 of them have decided to back out. It's understandable.
Yeah.
And I can't fault the lads. They worked hard for 18 months. You know what I mean? We're still going to carry on. Freddie and Aiden are more than capable now. And even now, I've started to get them in the stadium, give them a little nudge here and there, saying
Just let 'em get on with it.
this is what could be good, this is what could be good, this is what a lot of people would be interested in. And then any facts they come up with, they do it themselves. Google, mate. Like it is
It's
a
a
what's
wonderful
it.
thing, isn't
It's a bit of a cop out, but how else are you going to find anything out
It's a great
nowadays?
tool.
It's
Why
all
not use it?
Google, all Google and Wikipedia.
I
You
think
know
we
what I
all
mean?
use that, don't we?
I
So
don't use
I just
Google.
think I do the Who Am I game every week.
yeah.
It's all Wikipedia and
So
Google.
they for the last 2 games now, everything that you've seen online is them.
That's brilliant, that,
and
isn't
it's their ideas, it's their words, it's their facts. Everything's them, and that's what it's going to be coming into the future.
Well, I will say that, I will tag your socials in the
Yeah,
videos that we
yeah,
release.
yeah.
And obviously, we'll clip shorts of some of the JRI pieces that we
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Clip your tags
I have
underneath
I
all
have
of
a
them as well.
present.
You have a present?
It is a rare, limited edition,
Okay.
right? Ready for your collector's cabinet in the corner.
Okay.
You'd still have more stuff in it than Spurs would.
I'm gonna use-
JRI winter bobble
Oh,
hat.
wow.
Wow.
So
That's
I know
wonderful.
how you like
That's
your
amazing.
I know how you like your scarves and all that kind of stuff. So
That is brilliant.
you can put your little
Yeah.
you can wear it, take it with you, or put it
Well
in
done.
here and just hang it up somewhere. Yeah,
Oh, that's phenomenal.
really impressed with
I
that.
really like
It's
that.
good, isn't it?
Oh,
I love that.
Yeah.
So the lads wear them. Obviously, it's bloody freezing at the
That's
minute.
amazing.
So they wear it on the terraces. I've still got all my. I wear the JRI stuff.
Mate, I may well wear that at work because I drive up and down the country.
Mate, feel
Yeah.
so
free.
hopefully I'll get questions.
Feel free, and
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
that's
I
all
appreciate
right, mate. It's
That is
all right.
brilliant. Yeah,
you've,
well done.
you've shouted them out quite a few times now. So,
that. Oh, I love
and especially now they're going out on their own and doing a lot more stuff on their own.
it. Mm.
I think a lot of it was confidence as well. But I keep trying to say to him, when you're in the ground, everybody there will want to talk about Rangers. You know what I mean? Whether it's on camera or not, that's a different ball game.
Even the opponents, they're all going to want to talk football.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is all down to gaining confidence of going and talking to people about it. There's enough people in there so I know they're safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's enough people in there who know them now by name that if they see anything that's untoward, they're going to be like, oi, what you playing at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like
Plus,
that.
it's kids approaching them.
yeah,
It's not,
well, they're
it's not
12, mate. They're 12
6
years
foot
old.
6, built like
Yeah,
houses
they're
coming
12
towards
years
you.
old now, so they're trying to get a bit more independent and stuff, and it's good for them to open up a little
The
bit.
Mac fans were chatting about them for a little while afterwards. Actually, they
Were
loved
they?
it. Yeah, they absolutely
Yeah,
loved them.
We've had a few
Thought they were
people like
brilliant.
that where like I remember we had an Ashton United game last year, and we were doing some filming. Like I got the proper mics with the holder things with the stickers on and stuff like that. So we got all that jazz, and like bought a new video camera this year, by the way, which is special. Nice. So they had all that stood out. We had the full stands with the camera on and all that kind of stuff. And people coming up to us like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, they run a social media channel for the club that is designed by them for the next generation." You know what I mean? I personally would rather see kids nowadays go into non-league football where it's not even about the football. It's more about the feeling and the community.
As well. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, it saves a bloody fortune, mate. Honestly.
And cheaper.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, it's safer.
Yeah.
But
there's
the problem
more
is,
of a
like,
community
there's been a
about it.
big hoo-ha this year with Rangers about how much it costs to go there. But, like, even though we got relegated and dropped down a level, you've still got to think, you've still got the same bills you had last year.
Of course you do.
And with dropping down a league, you're going to lose people in the ground. Last year, we had an average, I think it was 700 and something. This year, we've dropped down again. We're losing about 100 people a gate. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It is really hard. And like, unless you get that stream of money coming in, that's where teams fold. And at the minute, we're still doing all right. You know what I mean? So money's a big thing for everyone. Everything's tight nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially this time of year, coming up to Christmas, and kids are expensive.
That's for sure.
Life's expensive.
Oh, mate,
yeah,
life's expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
you can't do it. You can't do a simple weekly shop nowadays. Before you know it, it's £150, £200 a week.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
ridiculous, mate.
Yeah,
and
it's
fuel,
crazy.
putting money in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's tough. So, but I encourage everyone to go down to non-league. They're actually running the promotion for December.
Stafford Rangers.
Yeah, we've got 3 home games in a row.
Okay.
For Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday.
Okay.
I think it's Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. I might be wrong there.
If you can tag me on the Stafford Rangers thing where it advertises it,
Do you know what?
I'll share them
I've
on
actually
all our...
got it on my phone. So
You had
I'll
a
be
very
able to
good
talk
initiative,
about it.
didn't you, during the international break? They said if you've got a season ticket at a Premier League or a
Yes,
football
they did
league
do
club,
that.
that was
show
good,
your
that was
season
that, yeah.
ticket and you could get in for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
Because they knew that
help
you'd be
me one
buying
little bit.
drinks and food.
yeah,
and this
yeah.
and that and the
No,
other,
lordy,
and spending
lordy
money
to them.
there.
Yeah, great initiative.
And it's somebody else to go into the ground, and maybe
Yeah.
you know you'll get the bug for when your team's not playing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And do you know what? Like I said, it's more about the community feel. It's not about it's not, well, it is about the football. You don't go there to not watch the football. But it is more about the feel. The feeling of being in the Stan Robinson is brilliant. You could, like, yes, you have games where they're horrific. But
Not everyone
then
has them.
you also, like this year, 2-2, Tottenham-Chelsea. Yes.
Okay.
This year, like, the feeling of being in the shed end when we score a goal, mate, there is nothing like it. Like, things are changing at the club now. Like, and I'm hoping to be a part of it. Like, I'm enjoying
Well done.
what I'm doing with them and stuff like that. So things are
Yeah,
changing.
because you're a volunteer around the stadium as well.
I
Aren't you?
help out when my health allows,
Yeah.
which at the minute isn't. It's not great, but I'm still trying to do a bit just to keep my sanity because I'm losing the will to live.
You've got to do something, haven't you? I suppose?
Yeah. We are 14. Yeah. So we were supposed to have a game yesterday, got cancelled.
Yeah.
So we have got the 14th at home, which is a Saturday, against Mossley. We have got the 17th at home Tuesday night against Wimenshaw Town. And on the 21st, we're at home again for Stalybridge Celtic. And the promotion is normally it's £13 entry for every adult. And what they've done is combined all 3 games where you can get, if you pay 30 quid, you can get in for all 3. So you're saving 10 quid, which coming up to Christmas, 10 quid's 10 quid, man.
Of course it is, yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to some dodgy parts, you can get a lot for 10 quid.
Yeah, get a lot for the fiver in certain parts.
So yeah, if you like your football, you're more than welcome to come down. Get online.
Yeah.
StaffordRangersFC.co.uk.
Well, I'll tag it into the video.
Some plug, a big plug there. So hoping to entice a few more people down for the next 3 games.
That's a great idea, personally.
So,
Yeah, well done.
if you got nothing on, come down.
I don't know about the Tuesday night one because I start work at 11 at night, so my alarm's set for 10 o'clock. So.
Oh, I don't know. You can watch the game, be out there for 9:30. You still get to work for 11.
Yeah, my lady doesn't finish work till 6:30 though, so that means I haven't slept all day, and then I'll be driving to London on no sleep at all.
Wow,
Probably
not the thing to do then.
If you've ever drove around London, most of them drive like they haven't slept
They
anyway.
definitely do, but when you're driving 40 tons around, it's probably best to be alert.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
But unfortunately, but the Saturday I've got my son that week, so we may well pop down.
Yeah, man,
just because
come down.
It's a game of football.
Come down, get you chatting to the boys. I'll make sure they get some questions for you. We'll converse.
I'll have a word with Zach then, see if he fancies coming.
We'll
down.
converse over the next few days and see if you want to come.
Yeah.
All
definitely.
right, magic.
I can see that, haven't I?
Brilliant.
Right, I think what we're going to do then is we're going to take a quick break now. Shane won't be with us.
Yes,
next part,
no,
'cause he is
I'm
busy.
going.
He has got things to
I've
do.
got a date.
I
at
do
Hickory's.
really appreciate you coming down. I
That's
literally
all right,
only
man.
phoned him an
It's been
hour
great.
before we
That's
started
all right.
recording.
Anytime.
So I appreciate
Anytime.
that, buddy. So we shall be with you, beautiful people, very shortly.
Hola.
Hello, and welcome back from the break to part 2 of the Sunday League Pundit Show. We have lost Shane from JRI. I will tag a lot of their socials into the video and into some of the shorts that we do because they are really good and they are just young kids.
Yeah.
I'll send you some of the links as well in case you haven't seen them.
I would love them. That would be fantastic.
Because they are really good and they do make me laugh. So we were literally just talking before we started recording because I happened to point out that I quickly had a look at the results. Apologies for moving the mic. I quickly had a look at the current results. I don't know what's going on here. And from being 2-0 up in 11 minutes, Tottenham are now 3-2 behind against Chelsea to Sancho, a Palmer penalty, and Fernandes. There is still 15 minutes left, plus added time. What are your thoughts on Tottenham?
Well, the thoughts on Tottenham, let's just go back a few days. I always think away fans are the real backbone of the Premier League, of any league.
Yes.
It's okay to turn up for your home games, but people who travel away, it's time off work, it's massive expense. It can be a hell of an inconvenience if you use public transport. And the one thing that really struck me, being as we're just talking about the last week, is Ange Postecoglou's fallout with at least one Spurs fan, or maybe 2 or 3.
Yes, I saw
where
that.
he walked the width of the pitch to confront what I would call your hardcore fans. So immediately that's kind of telling me all is not well. Because if the fans start to turn on you, there's only going to be one winner. And it's not going to be the manager or the head coach. So I have to put that into context. The second thing with Tottenham, I know Arsenal are doing relatively well. Chelsea are doing relatively well. So even if you put it into the London context, Tottenham, as we sit here, are mid-table. They are making up the numbers and possibly not even going to qualify for the Conference League.
It looks like they're going to struggle. I think they're 13th as it stands right now.
13th.
No, they're 11th. Sorry,
11th.
my mistake.
Okay,
They're 11th.
so-
But they've got 20 points,
Yeah.
and Forest are in 5th with 25.
Yeah.
But that 5 points is a big gap when you're struggling.
Yeah. Oh, massively. And now if, and it is a big if at the moment, Tottenham lose today, having been 3-2, or having been 2-0 up, if they lose, then you've got another kind of London derby, another defeat, and I think the pressure, under Ange Postecoglou will really ramp up because we know what kind of a hire and fire merchant Daniel Levy.
Well, it's already heated in there anyway because as proved by the last confrontation that they had.
Absolutely.
So it's already boiling.
Yeah, and my thing is, do you know, I sometimes look at Ange Postecoglou and I look at the way Spurs play, and sometimes, as we've seen the recent result with Man City, I'm thinking, what a breath of fresh air. But his team are massively high octane. You know, they're on the front foot. They were 2-0 up today, and many, dare I say, enlightened coach might have sat back a bit more, tried to keep Chelsea at arm's length. But Tottenham continue to do what they always do, which when it works can be quite good. But I do have genuine concerns with any club who play at Tottenham's rate or the Ange way, is can you really do that for 95, 96 minutes? In a weekend we've had Storm Dara, so pitches are going to be wet, the winds are still relatively high.
It's going to be like running on treacle after the pitches are. I know they look after them now, but they're still going to be soggy and hard and heavy.
Absolutely. So I do think if we've just gone back over the last week with the falling out, with the mid-table mediocrity, with potentially not qualifying for Europe, with other London clubs doing particularly well, I can't see it lasting too much longer.
I mean, he's going to struggle to keep his job because 11th for Tottenham is not good enough for their fans, and I imagine Levy is not going to be too impressed with it.
No.
Because he spent quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wasn't it 65 million or something just for Solanke this summer?
Well, that's correct. I mean, you've got Brennan Johnson, you've got Solanke.
He also brought in Archie Gray, who I wanted Arsenal to buy from Leeds.
Yeah.
He's barely played.
No, but I think we've touched on this before, haven't we? Is young players tend to be a bit of a graveyard at Spurs. They seem to do sometimes target players of Archie Gray's age, 19, 20, 21. Jed Spence is another one. That
Brennan Johnson, albeit Brennan Johnson has played more.
Yeah, but it seems as though they're kind of not nurtured and improved to make a contribution. And so for a club that is, dare I say, probably more money orientated than others in terms of tight purse strings, every penny I think at Tottenham has to count. And just at the moment, I don't think it is doing. I think there's been kind of wasted monies.
No, I would agree. I would agree.
You know, so on my week looking back, we've already waxed lyrical about Man United, but I think the same can now be said, for Spurs. And the only club who seem to be outdoing Spurs in the rubbish stakes is another London club, and that's West Ham. To basically back your manager on a game-by-game basis.
West Ham played Monday against Leicester and lost 3-1.
Yeah.
And Tottenham, just to put it into a little bit more context, although they're losing as it stands with 8 minutes left, they also lost against Bournemouth on Wednesday, 1-0.
Yeah.
So it's not just they've lost because Chelsea have come back. They also got beat by Bournemouth, who, although we're a decent side, I don't think they should be causing the problems they seem to be causing. Everyone's going on, well, they beat City. City are pretty poor.
Yeah.
They've beaten Tottenham. Yeah. Tottenham can have them days.
Yeah.
They beat Arsenal, albeit Arsenal went down to 10 men and were in full control before we went down to 10 men. So I don't think they would have beaten Arsenal, if I'm honest, if we got 11 men.
Yeah.
But they have had some good results. Even so, you would look at that game and think, that Tottenham that beat City 4-0, albeit a poor City side, should be beating Bournemouth. Because they played really well that day. They were really, really good.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, you can't get away from it. There should be an expectation, and there should be. You know, arguably Tottenham have the best ground in the Premier League. Okay, they don't win many things. I think I was looking at a stat today, or heard a stat today, to say they've only won 3 trophies since Glenn Hoddle's retired, and that's been many years ago.
Quite a while.
Now,
that was
I think they've run
League Cup in 2008.
Yeah, I think they won three trophies when Glenn Hoddle was a player, and that's 10, 11, 12 years, and they've only won another 3 trophies since he's retired. But I look at Tottenham, And sometimes I think one of the worst problems with Tottenham is the fans. They're too loyal, and probably till the other night they hadn't turned, because there should be an expectation. If all things being equal, I would look at Tottenham and think you should be in that top 40 bracket.
Yeah.
You should be there,
or at least fighting for it.
Absolutely, or at least fighting for it. And it always kind of surprises me, just the kind of levels of mediocrity at the end of the day that Tottenham always seem to fall into. It was massive news when Harry Redknapp got them into the Champions League, and I think Pochettino did the same again.
Well, he kept him there for a little bit, didn't he? And got to a final.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they gave their fans about 12 seconds worth of hope before Liverpool scored and just ran riot.
So yeah, it's a club I look at, and I think you're massively punching below the waist. For my own view, for Tottenham to move forward, I know it's always managers that go, I think there needs to be a change of ownership.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
I mean, I don't know, for example, and I really don't know who on a day-to-day basis runs Liverpool. I don't really know on a day-to-day basis who runs Manchester City. I don't know on a day-to-day basis anymore who runs Arsenal. And they're your kind of blue ribbon clubs as things stand. But everybody knows who runs Tottenham.
Yeah.
And,
one man.
You know, we had the same with the Villa with Doug Ellis, and you can have these kind of low-profile, everyone
I don't think Doug Ellis was that bad, though, was he?
Maybe not, but I'm trying to think of a similar example of where the wider population...
It's only really sort of lower league football where that will happen, really.
Yeah. And
I don't think that should happen in Premier League football.
And of course, the other thing which we forget with Tottenham is Daniel Levy's not the owner. I mean, he's a paid hand.
Yeah.
So I always kind of think, I think it needs to change at that level. Just for me personally,
I would agree.
To move Tottenham on.
I would agree.
And I think it's the same again. I was talking about West Ham. Is again. With, say, Baroness Brady, there are people whose profiles potentially are higher than the club's, and I don't think that should be the case.
Yeah.
So it always kind of worries me or fills me with concern. That they're pretty much taking more of a high profile or certainly greater public role than they ought to be.
I think Daniel Levy's worked himself into that position as well over the years, because not a lot of people knew about him when he first got that position.
Yeah.
But because of the way he is and his tight control and his stinginess and this, that and the other, he's worked himself into a position where he's now, if anything, he's mentioned before the club.
Yeah.
Someone will mention Daniel Levy and the way he behaves before they mention Tottenham and what's going on. So,
and I don't think that's healthy
he's
for the club.
Engineered himself to be not bigger than the club, but a bigger talking point than the club itself.
So.
Nothing should be a bigger talking point than Aston Villa, Arsenal, Tottenham,
Yeah,
Man United, City. And City again now. Biggest talking point there is Pep.
Yeah.
It's not Man City.
No.
It's Pep and the ownership.
Yeah.
Biggest talking point in Newcastle, the ownership.
Yes.
Biggest talking point in Arsenal, generally just Arsenal.
Yeah.
Villa, just Villa.
Yeah.
They'll talk about the manager, but not negatively. It's because he's doing well.
Oh,
because he's coming, he's doing well. Recently, you've had a bit of a blip, although you did beat Brentford 3-1 during the week.
We did, yeah.
So there was a
yesterday,
and Brentford are no slouches. I mean, they are a decent side.
Yes.
So to beat them is good, but you beat them convincingly 3-1.
We did.
You then played Saints yesterday.
We did.
And scraped the win.
Well, it was a scrape, but I have to admit, in all my 50 years of watching top-level football, it is the worst conditions I've actually had to see.
It was pretty bad.
I mean,
you were actually at the game, weren't you?
I was at the game, yeah. So even when because public transport was all cancelled, so I thought it's one of the few games, because I always travel to games by the train.
Mm-hmm.
There was no chance of that happening yesterday, so I drove down. And literally, as I was driving down the M6, you could feel the gust, and I was actually having to grip onto my steering wheel because the power of the winds and the rain, I've got my wipers going full pelt. So in terms of yesterday, listen, we played Brentford, as you say, the other night. Brentford had one shot on target. We played Southampton yesterday, and they had no shots on target. So in 180 minutes of top-flight football,
you've conceded one shot on
shot
target.
on target. So I always
That's not bad going, to be fair. That's pretty impressive.
And it is, and I kind of look at the positives. And again, yesterday there was wholesale changes. I know the Villa are struggling to cope with the demands of Premier League and Champions League football.
When was the last time you were in the Champions League?
It would have been 1983. Well, it wasn't the
So
Champions
surely
Yeah.
there has to be a little bit of patience.
Oh, well, massive.
Because for me,
Yeah.
when we had Emery,
Yeah,
we went 21 games unbeaten when he was there. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people forget that.
yeah,
We didn't win 21 games in a row,
Yeah.
but we were 21 games undefeated.
yeah.
We then, very soon after,
Yeah.
sacked him. And it still annoys me
Oh.
that we got rid of him because I don't think he was given a chance.
Now, as I've said before, Unai Emery is one of the most decorated head coaches across world football. But
Didn't he win
obviously,
3 in a row with Sevilla or something? Or
Sevilla, and then he won it with Villarreal. He's won trophies with PSG. Did he not win the FA Cup with Arsenal?
No,
No.
but he took us to a point where we were going to win it,
Okay.
and then Arteta actually
Yeah.
then won it.
Listen, I mean, Unai Emery for me is as just an unbelievable coach. I mean, you have to remember the day Steven Gerrard got sacked from the Villa, we lost 3-0 or 3-1 to Fulham, but we were absolutely dire.
Terrible.
And to come in and then have a fantastic run, which included a handsome when we beat Brighton 6-1. I think we beat Newcastle 3-0, and Newcastle were flying at that time. Got us to the Conference League. We then got to the semi-final of the Conference League before it come up with us. Qualified for the Champions League. Unai Emery has improved every single player as an individual at the Villa, and therefore he has improved us from a collective level. So even there, it has been a kind of bitty stop-start. I don't think the international breaks have helped us. But to be sitting here coming to the end of 2024, sixth in the Premier League, with a good chance of qualifying for the Champions League knockout phases, after just 2 years, is okay.
It's not the worst record in the world, is it?
And listen, and I am very, very patient. Because we Villa fans of a certain age, have had to be. You don't support Aston Villa for glory hunting and collecting trophies. I mean, the last trophy we won was 1996. The League Cup final. So it's been many, many years. So relatively now we're in just such a fantastic place. But the thing I love about Emery, he is a manager, not necessarily a coach.
Yes, yeah.
He looks at every aspect. He's got his mate Monchi, who we brought over, who does all the recruitment and that. But that was more Emery's appointment rather than anybody else's. And so his attention to detail across everything is quite phenomenal. And I can honestly say, as a Villa fan, we are very, very, very lucky to have him.
I always thought he was very, very good at Arsenal. And I was a little bit annoyed when we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Now we're in a position where we've basically employed an assistant manager. I'm even more annoyed that we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Arteta's everything he's been made out to be. I think he's been hyped up to a ridiculous standard.
Yeah.
Where people are sort of making him out to be something he is definitely not.
Yeah. I think looking at an outsider to
Oh,
Arsenal...
good grief.
I
would like,
you
just
didn't back
before
Emery,
you carry, I've just had a notification.
Yeah.
And Tottenham have conceded their second penalty of the game and are now losing 4-2.
4-2.
So that's 2 penalties that they've given away as well.
Yeah.
They're not helping themselves.
No, and again, does it come down to the way they play, the eye octane, the eye press, the eye energy? I can understand that, but then when you become fatigued, both physically and emotionally, you make your mistakes.
You make your mistakes.
So as I say, always on things like this, I'm not trying to be too detrimental. I feel for the fans
you know, because you go to every game, you're full of optimism, you're full of expectation. It is a London derby. It's live on the TV. And there's nothing worse as a fan to know that you've been 2-0 up and you've had that great level of elation,
Yeah.
and it is elation, and then literally an hour later, you've shipped him you've lost again, you're in mid-table.
You know it's your own fault. You've given away 2 penalties.
Yeah.
Albeit we haven't seen the penalties, so if they are contentious, then
yeah.
obviously that needs to be taken into
But
account.
It is, but again, I think you have to look at the bigger picture for Tottenham. Again, it is mid-table Tottenham we're talking about.
Yeah, of course it is.
And
yeah.
I think it is that big picture, the defeat at Bournemouth the other night we've alluded to, the falling out with the fans. It just doesn't look good.
No,
so
I
I'm
agree.
just on the outside looking.
I
But
agree.
if there's any Tottenham fan watching this, I think your son's a Tottenham fan, is he?
Yes, my 13-year-old is a
Yeah.
Tottenham fan.
I feel for the fans, because as a Villa fan, there's, you know, years and years, you have your hopes, you have your optimisms, you always think it's going to be your year, and then it comes and it hits you hard. But particularly while it hit Tottenham hard tonight, it's a local derby again.
And it's one of their fierce ones. It's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Arsenal, but
Yeah.
there is a lot of hatred between Tottenham and
Apparently so.
Chelsea. And
Yeah.
it's not going to go well with the fans at all, this one. And
No.
there was, like you say, there was a lot of hostility towards Ange anyway. I find Ange Postecoglou, or Postanoglu, as I've recently come to calling him.
Yeah.
I find him quite difficult with the press in his press conferences. I find him a little abrasive, and I find him evasive.
Yeah.
Don't think he answers what he needs to answer. I think he sort of goes around the houses to avoid it
Yeah.
and just gives sarcastic comments. I get that it's an Australian thing,
Yeah.
but you're not in Australia.
No,
You're in England.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with the English. It's not even the English media, because the media aren't the ones receiving the information. They're the ones sending it out.
Yeah.
It's the English public that are receiving that information.
for sure.
And guess what? Your Tottenham fans, for the most part, are English public.
They are.
So stop being that sarcastic, because it makes you look like you don't care about what's happening.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can get away with it. I mean, I always looked at Alex Ferguson and Wenger. Had a pretty
Yeah, but they were
relationship.
winners.
Winners, that's the thing. And
They
can
got
get
away with it.
Yeah, you can get away with it if you're winning. I think the problem with Ange is you need friends. You know,
He's running out of them
and
fast.
you'd be running out of them. And I think I've known managers in the past who literally had a very good press despite some terrible results and performances, because they've cultivated good relationships, so people can back them. The problem is when you make yourself an island and you divorce yourself from X, Y, and Z, is when you sometimes need that help. You're all of a
It's
sudden
gone.
on your own, and that's a really terrible and a lonely place, you know.
And he is finding himself there fast as well. It's creeping up on him quicker and quicker, because, like I say, his press conferences, for me, they're not friendly at all.
Yeah.
And albeit I'm an Arsenal fan, so I look at it slightly differently, because I find it funny, because I'd hate it if my manager was like that. But it's not my manager. It's my rival's manager.
Yeah.
So I quite like it.
Yeah.
But as a Tottenham fan, you've got to look at that surely and think, just stop being that guy. Just be honest and open, and just tell us what you actually think, rather than trying to belittle the people that are in that press conference room.
Yeah.
Because that's making us feel like you're just not in it to win.
No.
You're in it just for an ego thing.
Yeah. And I think also, you know, we all sometimes need to reflect. It's not working. Whatever he's doing is not working. The results.
But I think we know what's not working, don't we?
Yeah.
Because, like you said before, they went to 9 men against Chelsea last season.
Yes.
Was it last season?
Yes, it was.
And they kept pushing and pushing. Stand on the halfway line.
Yeah.
Why? You've got 9 men.
No,
you
correct.
know you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Why push your only 2 defenders to stand on the halfway? Stand between the area and the halfway line. Give yourself 5 yards.
Yeah.
So that if they do burst forward, you've got a couple of yards thinking space and reaction time. Don't stand on your man, because they're lightning quick.
Correct, of course they are. And that's my real fear with Ange. He doesn't even want to seem to consider a plan B.
But then, do you find, just a quick change of subject? Do you find that's going to be the downfall of I can't remember his name, United's new manager?
Amorim.
Because he's come in and gone, that's how I play, tough, deal with it.
Well,
you've got no plan B either then. You're the same as Ange.
And the problem is Man United, and this is just me from the outside looking in, they can't back the new head coach because I think Man United are on the precipice of PSR.
Yes.
So, do
you remember in the first half when I said to Shane, your team's done something?
Yeah.
What they've done, and it's only going to bring in apparently 1.4 million from now to the end of the season.
I know what they've done, yes.
They have changed the price of every single ticket to the game
minimum
to
of
£66
no
minimum.
Yes.
No kids, no concessions, no disabled,
yes.
no pensioners, nothing.
Yes.
Everyone pays a minimum of £66. So I think there was one guy on TalkSport that rung up that said that his match day experience would go from, I think he said £75-ish to 150.
Wow, okay.
You're doubling that guy's experience.
Yeah.
And he went, I'm just not going.
No, and let's not complicate. So that for me is part of the because one of the reasons allegedly Ten Hag got the sack is there was a thought in the club that he wasn't getting the best out of the players he's got.
Yeah. Which, given how poor they are, and to win 2 trophies with that team.
Yeah. And see, I think the problem with Amorim and Man United now is how are you going to back your manager? Because if he turns around and say this player's not good enough, that player's not good enough, I'm now playing with a back 3, so I need you to buy me 2 wing backs. Where are they actually going to get? How are they?
That's going to cost as well.
It's going to cost
because teams now know that they're desperate for certain positions. So when United come calling, they're not going to look at United's account and go, well, they're struggling. They're going to see Man United. Your price goes up 20 million instantly.
Yeah, it's as I say, sometimes when I look at these clubs, we've talked about Tottenham, I've briefly mentioned West Ham, I don't want to be negative, but Man United, good God, we talk about the expectation of Tottenham. I expect Man United not to be top 4, top 2, minimum, I would think. It's a club. So, even when Man United was on its uppers, and I remember Man United being in the old 2nd division, and they played the Villa at the same time, but no matter how bad Man United were doing, it was always your biggest game of the season. It was always the biggest away support of the season. They were always the biggest club.
The place where everyone wanted to go.
Yeah.
You all wanted to go to Old Trafford to watch a game.
And I just look at Man United now, and I just think, it looks wrong, it smells wrong. So I actually think Amorim is on a hiding to nothing. Because
definitely
it seems as though for now they've run out of money to restructure. In my honest opinion, it's nothing to do with Ten Hag, David Moyes, Van Gaal's been there, Marino's been there. Their players just ain't good enough. And when I look at Manchester United,
they don't care enough.
Well,
I think it's part of the problem as well. Well, they certainly look like they don't care enough.
Yeah. I mean, just yesterday, I know the weather conditions was terrible, but the goalkeeper went down in instalments for the kind. Was it the second?
The first goal, wasn't it? When he hit it from outside the area, and it went straight at him.
Yeah.
And he sort of moved out the way of it, if anything.
And
weirdest thing I've seen.
But again, when I look at the Man United goalkeeper, is he in the world's kind of top 10, 12, 15 goalkeepers? No, he's not. And I look at Man United as a team, and I think, no. Marcus Rashford is too inconsistent to be considered a very good or a great player. He shows glimpses, but you wouldn't want to build your team and say...
I think the biggest problem Amorim's got is this is the moment in time where United have got the least amount of money to put into the club.
Correct.
But Amorim is the manager that's going to need the biggest amount of investment to change the club.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because of what he does and how he plays.
Yes.
So you've employed a manager. You know he's going to need massive investment. At a one time in the history, you can't afford massive investment. No. So the owners are screwing the club and the manager over before he's even walked through the door.
I would agree. I mean, I'm only looking at this moment in time. All I can see, it's ending in tears.
Oh yeah,
You know,
and pretty quick.
And I think it'll unravel because again, you talk about the new manager bounce. Since he's came in, 5 games, won 2, drew 1, lost 2. Bless you. And as I say, it was like yesterday. I'm kind of looking. They got Martinez, central defender, 5'7", 5'8".
Did you see the goal they conceded at the back?
Yeah.
The thing is he didn't challenge Chris Wood for that header, but Martinez was stood at the back post when the ball just went past him.
Yeah.
All he had to do was raise his leg 12 inches.
Yeah.
And he did. Why are you going backwards towards the line when the ball's coming over and all you've got to do is volley that clear?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
I don't understand that at all.
You can have the greatest coaches in the world. That's not about coaching. The goalkeeping error yesterday, the Martinez error yesterday.
I don't know what the goalkeeping error was.
The whole thing. And it's funny enough, and this is just my 10 pence, my opinion. The only Man United player I've kind of rated in the last kind of 5 or 10 years has been McTominay. And they got rid of him.
Do you know, Tin Ribs shouts him out all the time about how good he was.
Yeah.
And they've got rid of him.
Yeah, and they've got rid of him.
Incidentally, a player that would have been fantastic in a 3-4-3 formation.
Yeah. So, again, I'm kind of looking at clubs, and as I say, I don't want this podcast to be negative. I'm generally a bright, breezy.
But we're always negative, so don't worry about the podcast.
I do look at certain clubs, and again, coming back to the Man United, don't get a chasm between you and the fans, because sooner or later, your fans, and you've alluded to, are going to say, no, we ain't doing it. You can't, because the fans who go on the terraces or in the stands like me, it's easy to say, oh, well, Sky pay nothing to the game. Murdoch and the Sky Enterprise is purely capitalist driven. So it's the same fans. If I go to Villa Park yesterday, or you went to Old Trafford yesterday, and you go round the ground, have you got Sky? Have you got this? Yes. If you go to Manchester City Centre with the Christmas shoppers, have you got Sky? This? No. So you're always asking the same fans to pay more for your tickets, to pay more for your tops. My grandson's just had his Villa top for Christmas, 120 quid.
Jesus.
If you keep asking the fans for more and more subscriptions, whether that's Sky, whether it's TNT, whether it's Amazon Prime, sooner or later, you can't just keep asking the same people for more money. And at the moment, they might get away with getting football tourists over from America or Singapore or Malaysia, and they'll come and spend their 500 quid over a weekend or maybe more. But that's not sustainable.
Wow.
I mean, I sit there in Villa Park at the moment, and we've got a load of new fans under these GA Plus arrangements. And you hear the away fans singing "Football in a Library," and you think, you know what, you're right. Because there's nothing worse, soul destroying. You get the football tourists with their half Villa, half kind of
them half and half scarves. Oh God!
Think, no.
Please stop.
I think the Premier League really, they probably think, people will always pay more. They're so invested with the psychological contract between the fans and the club. But I think now that the very higher echelons, they need to be very, very
There's only
careful.
so much water you can take out of the pool before it's empty.
And as I've said before, I've been a Villa fan for 50 years, season ticket holder for the vast majority of them, but this will be my last year. That's a sad indictment of football, ticket.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm tight like my grandson's top for Christmas, 120 quid. My season ticket, as I say, has gone, just to reiterate from those who missed it, from 420 to 480 to 530 to 601 to 640. Pint of beer at the Villa is £6.40. I can go up the Spoons up the road and get just as a good one for about £2.50. Oh, there are other pubs available, by the way. And I just kind of look. It always seems for me in the Premier League, nothing is ever enough. And,
no,
and
it
I
isn't.
have to make a stand. And it's not whether I can afford it or not. I'm sure I can. But I have to sometimes take a view with all a moral compass and just think, no. This is just not, and because it's always the fans who'm giving. The fans give, the fans give, the fans give. Everyone else takes from the game.
Yep.
The Glazers have took out from the game millions and millions. Players take out the games.
Players are the worst.
Yeah, agents and players,
Horrendous.
And I just think as a fan, do you know what? No. I mean, how many cars do you need to drive? 20, 30, how many swimming pools do you need? How many houses do you need?
It's a fair point.
As I say, the stand I sit
in... It's a fair argument.
Yeah. The stand I sit in at Villa Park was built in... Well, it was opened in 1977. And really, nothing's changed since 1977. The loos in 1977 were inadequate. They're totally inadequate now.
That's damn near 50 years ago.
Yeah. Look, women supporters, they're literally queuing for 20 minutes at half time just to use the loo. It's poor offering. So, listen, the Premier League will continue. Maybe they've got an ostrich.
It'll come to a head at some point, I'm certain of it. Especially this United thing with £66 a ticket. And like you say, I'm in £120 for a shirt. I refuse to buy legit Arsenal shirts now. I buy mine on the cheap because I am not paying £80 to £100 for a shirt. I'm not doing it.
Well, you pay that, and then, of course, it's the Champions League patch, it's the Football League patch.
I just refuse to do it. I absolutely refuse to do it. Because, not because you can't afford it, but why would I go and pay? I've just bought my son a car for his 17th birthday. Wow, okay. Right, so I bought him the 09 Fiesta that's on the drive. Okay? So, why would I go and buy that 09 Fiesta for £2,000 when I can go and buy one for £500 that needs £250 spending on it? I'm going to buy I'm not going to go out and say, well, I'm going to do the same thing for 3 times the price just because you want me to. No, I'm not doing it.
No.
Just because he wants a car, I'm not. Because he saw a few cars before that one.
Okay.
But they're like 1,200 quid, 1,300 quid. I'm like, it's not worth it. The car's not worth what they're asking.
No.
But I really like the car. So I don't care how much you like it. It's not worth the value.
It's the same with me. Listen, I've had a love affair with the Villa. I'll tell you a little story now. And my wife will confirm this. We came off our honeymoon one day early, so I could go and watch the Villa at Birmingham. So it has been a passion. It has been.
Of course, it is. It's massive in your life.
I've followed the Villa all over the country. When I was doing my reckoning the other day, I'd kind of been, I think, to just about 75 grounds. There's obviously new teams coming in the league whose grounds I've not been to.
Have you ever been to Mac, by the way? Just a quick one.
I haven't been to Mac.
I'd like to take you to Mac at some point.
I will definitely go to Mac. Salford City is one of them who have definitely not done, because of course they weren't around in the leagues back in the day. But it's been an absolute love affair of 50 years. But like any relationship, I've kind of come to the view, do you know what? It's not for me anymore.
There's only so much you can get kicked.
Yeah. And the Villa have been a fabulous lover. I've had some fantastic times. I've watched some absolutely unbelievable players, of which Paul McGrath has been the best. He really was and continues to be a god. But after 50 years now, I don't think any of us want to feel we've been taken advantage of.
Yep.
And it kind of
a lot of football fans now do.
And I just think, after 50 years, no, I'm gonna go off and do different things. I'll still get my football fix. I still love the game.
Yep. Well, we've got non-league. There's non-league around here. We've got Stafford Rangers. I've got Macclesfield. I'll take you to Macclesfield games and. You'll still get your fix here, there, and
I'll be going back over to Germany 2 or 3 times.
I want to go into that in the last part. We're gonna go to a break now because we've done quite a bit, and then we'll do a third part, albeit probably a little bit shorter. So we will go to a quick break now, and then we should see you lovely people very shortly.
Bless you. Well done.
Hello and welcome back to part 3 of the Sunday League Pundit Show. We touched on in the second part about you travelling to Germany.
Yes.
Now, I've had many a conversation with you at my daughter's school about football and travelling and your bits and pieces. And I'm really interested in how things work in Germany.
Okay.
As opposed to how they work here.
Right.
For example,
Yeah.
if I go to Macclesfield or if I go to the Emirates,
Yeah.
I will likely drive down because the trains are, for me, too expensive for what they are.
Yeah.
So if I go to the Emirates, I'll drive down to a certain place, and then I'll jump on the tram, which takes me straight outside the Emirates Stadium, pretty much. But that's quite expensive.
Yes.
And your ticket is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
So to compare and contrast England to Germany, which I know you've been to a good few times.
Yeah.
How does it work in Germany?
Right. Well, I mean, I'll touch upon my most recent experience, which was the pre-season Dortmund-Villa game in August this year.
Okay.
Took my grandson, first time he'd ever been on a continental jolly. And for both of us to get in the Dortmund stadium, albeit in the safe standing area, for the two of us, it was €15. So it works out at £6.25 each to get in to Dortmund. Completely opposite the Yellow Wall, which was an absolutely beautiful sight. So you've got the admission now. I'm very, very mindful that in parts of the ground, the admission is as dear as you would get in the Premier League. But in lots of parts of the ground, you can get a pretty good ticket for, say, €30, which is, what, 20 odd pound.
That's not bad, is it?
So there's lots and lots of parts of the ground where still very, very good seating, where it is not that expensive, certainly a fraction of the prices you would pay into the Premier League. The other beautiful thing about Dortmund's ground, and it's certainly not alone, is the leg room. It is pretty comfortable. You can possibly on some of the stands get a sun lounger.
Wow.
There's that kind of much leg room. Whereas again at the Villa, in order to increase our capacity, where there used to be gangways and walkways, they've just put seats in, and so your knees are under your chin. So there was the pricing. There's the leg room.
Comfort.
Of course, massive comfort. I mean, I know Dortmund Stadium is a well-appointed stadium, as is a lot of the stadiums in Germany, because of course they've hosted international tournaments and have developed their grounds in order to welcome, people to their cities. So you've got that comfort. The other comfort is as well, of course, you can take, if you're minded to, you can take your beers in the stand and you can sit and have a beer and they treat fans much more like humans. More maturely, yeah. Now, the other thing we also found out when we're in Germany, we based ourselves in Cologne, which is about an hour and a quarter's train journey down to Dortmund. Now in Britain you get national rail companies who say run their trains from Bournemouth up to Manchester and beyond, and there's about 4 carriages and one of them's a first class, and you are treated like cattle. I mean, some of the trains I have to travel on as a football fan are horrendous. And we used to kind of laugh, hadn't we, about some of the Indian trains, how people were kind of hanging on the roofs and out the doors.
Yeah, we're very much like that now.
Yeah, but actually, some of our trains, honestly, you are wedged in and are treated worse than cattle. I'm sure if animals were transported in similar situations, there would be an outcry, and so there should be.
Yeah.
So, but we went to Germany, 12 carriage trains, of which
massive,
double-decker trains.
Oh, wow.
Trains that run through the night, because that was the other thing. One of the things when I'm at the Villa, it's very, very difficult, because if a game finishes at Villa Park at 10 o'clock, the last train back to Stafford is 20 past 11, so it's always time critical. But we went to Germany, trains that run through the night. But the most beauty of it, and we didn't learn this till we're actually there, is as part of your match ticket, you get your train included. So for the £6.25 each, we actually got a return train from Cologne to Dortmund and back, which is a 2.5-hour train journey, all included for your £6.
That's incredible.
£6.25. So we were talking to some Dortmund fans in there who lived in Cologne and other stops, and they says, "Oh yeah." Now it is just it's your standard day return. You can't use the fast train, so it's like your equivalent to West Midlands trains.
Yeah.
But if you buy your season ticket and you've got like 19 home games at Dortmund and you live in Cologne, then included in that is your 19 train fares up and down to the ground on a daily basis. Now, the other beautiful thing of that as well is when we were then walking around Dortmund, particularly down the ground, there's hardly any cars. There's hardly any car parks because, of course, there's the massive encouragement to use your public transport to get to and from the games. So no matter how you looked at it, if I go to Villa Park, you get off at Birmingham sometimes for a chance, sometimes go and have a beer, and you get to Birmingham and there's ticket barriers, and of course people are trying to and on match days and this time of year when you've got the German Christmas market, they are a health hazard because you've got people congregating trying to get through barriers. Wherever we went in Germany, no ticket barriers. You just get on the station, walk to your platform, get off the other end, and so they treat you much, much better.
Do you think they have less violence in Germany than in England? Like football violence. I don't mean general violence. I mean specific football violence. Do you think they have slightly less over there? Or less vandalism, or less bad behaviour?
I certainly think so. Yeah. I mean, certainly.
So do you think if England took note
Yeah.
and started treating fans a little better, do you think the behaviour would improve over it?
I think they would.
Because we do genuinely get treated like kids a lot of the time. And
I think a lot of behaviour sometimes we get, certainly around football and that, it's pure frustration. If you feel no one's listening to you, you know, because the experience of Britain is, say for example, Villa Park on a Sunday. On the Cross City line, you get 2 trains an hour, but they can't even run them. So, if, for example, the Villa sometimes do, you kick off, like, say, the 4:30 game on a Sunday, game finishes at 6:30. I have, and other people have, 8:30, 2 hours later, you're still waiting again on a train at Aston. They won't let you up the platform, they queue you in the street. We've talked about the prices in the Premier League. Whenever you travel, certainly on public transport, my experience is the Premier League, not non-league, it's like a second-class citizen. And it's frustration because it's just like no one wants to listen. And so I can sometimes understand, and I saw a bit yesterday, where that just sometimes overspills. So I think sometimes, as I say, we've got this great strap line, it's the greatest in the world. But, I mean, I've got a good background in mental health, and one of the things you do in therapy with people is when they have thoughts, you actually get them to reflect how true's that thought. You know, so people will say, I'm unworthy, I'm no good, I'm a failure. And then you'll unpick it to see how much truth there is in that. And sometimes I think we use this strapline, it's the greatest league in the world. And I'm kind of looking and think, well, how true is it? Because my experience, and it's not me alone who travel off abroad, would suggest the Premier League's got a damn awful lot to learn, and all what I would call the supporting things. I
personally think we're light years behind a lot of countries.
Because funny enough, we're on Dortmund station, and as I say, we were visitors, and we were a bit unsure. And like the guy in the travel kiosk, couldn't have been more helpful. Spoke in English, spoke better English than even I did. But then we were walking away. And he'd forgot to tell us something, so he comes scuttling out of his kiosk to me and the grandson, and gives us this extra information. You know, like a quicker journey. He says, you can get back to Cologne quicker, but you need to change at this station, you know, rather than waiting out for the next train straight through. He says you can, and it's just this whole kind of the package was most beautiful.
The treatment.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I've chosen to give up my season ticket at Villa Park is next season I'm going to take the grandson to at least a couple of games in Germany where we'll try and go and see Cologne, because my grandson actually fell in love with the city. We'll try and take in a game at Dusseldorf, and if we can, we'll go over to Hamburg too. Simply because, and it comes down to relationships, I just felt appreciated.
Yeah.
You know,
makes a big difference.
It's like you're validated. You are of value. We thank you for coming.
Well, that's like any relationship.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Your wife, your friends, your work.
Yeah.
Your football, any relationship,
Absolutely.
You need to feel valued and you need to feel appreciated, and like you being there, your presence is important.
Yeah, yeah. And
I don't really feel that. I certainly didn't feel that when I went to the Emirates.
No, and
you're just like you say, you're herded in like cattle. You basically, the doors are just opened, you're all booted out at the end, and it's like, thanks, there you go, later.
Well, yeah, I mean, a classic case, just coming back to Villa Park, I mean, I'm a dual stick user. There was a big queue outside Aston Station, and they've got these people in their kind of high-vis jackets trying to control all the crowds. I would guesstimate the queue was probably about 30 minutes long, so I walks up and says, look, I need to get the lift, and this guy intervened very stroppily and told me I've got to go to the back of the queue as a disabled person and stand with the rest. And when I says no, I'm going to use the lift, he stood in front of the lift and stopped me using it.
That's disgusting,
and I had a bloke
really,
with me who's well into his 70s who's recently had surgery, and this is the kind of things you get, not you get, my experience, and it was just another reason I just thought, you know what, no. I mean, the lifts at Aston Station probably haven't been cleaned out for 20 years. God knows what bacteria and viral infections.
That's even a disgusting thought, let alone being in there.
But no, I think this is the experience of lots of fans, though. You know, I speak with lots of fans from lots of different clubs, and that's what I say. It's not just about getting into the ground, your 90 minutes of football. Certainly for the away fans, it's the whole... You know, it's the whole
Usually
lot.
Getting to and getting away from the ground is longer than the game anyway.
Absolutely it is.
And a good couple of hours, usually.
Yeah. and of course then, and you know, as I say, for me, it's a bit of inconvenience of the kickoffs. I mean, on the Amazon Prime, for example, the Villa always tend to cop for the 8:15 kickoff.
Yeah.
And 8:15 kickoffs are just too late.
Yes.
And I know they do it for the television audience. Well, let the fans go in for free or for a minimum amount. But don't turn around to say to the fans, well, it's a 8:15 kickoff, it's a Wednesday night, we've got another storm coming. Oh, and by the way, for this experience, it's going to cost you about 70 quid to get in.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're doing it for money, because you're doing it for the television money.
Yeah.
So if you're already making a good million or so more out of it anyway, why are you still fleecing us?
Absolutely.
Because this is the thing with the TV, right? And they're complaining that Sky are losing business and BT are losing business. I wonder why.
Yes.
Stop paying £10 billion to the Premier League for the rights.
Yeah.
And then you won't have to rip off everybody.
No.
Because you've got people that can't get to the ground. Like... As I said, I took my two sons.
Yeah.
Took Ethan, who's 17.
Yeah.
Not really into football, but he likes going to the ground. He won't watch it on telly.
Okay.
But he loves being in the ground.
Yeah.
And I first started taking him into Macclesfield.
Right.
So if you asked him who he supported, he'd probably say Mac.
Good lad.
But he's not massively into it. He just likes being in the ground and experiencing it.
Yeah.
So I took Ethan and my son, who's a Tottenham fan, 13, Zach. That was a 12-and-a-half-hour day.
Wow, okay.
From leaving this house, picking Zach up, driving to London, getting the tube to Arsenal, then getting the tube back, driving back, stopping for meals. That was a 12-and-a-half-hour day for one game of football.
Yeah.
That's a long day.
It is.
And it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that was just for a women's game. I say just for a women's game, I mean value.
Yeah.
Like my value-wise, like paying out, not oh, it was only women.
Yeah.
I mean, because I enjoyed the women's game. I've always enjoyed the women's game.
Yeah.
Football's football to me. They are two different sports, but I still enjoy the women's game. So it cost me just over £200.
Yes.
Which I'm okay given the experience of my two lads going to the Emirates, sitting in a massive new stadium, and enjoying the surrounding.
Yeah.
Like, even Zach, who supports Tottenham, he rolled his eyes and complained, but when they started singing North London Forever, it was still loud.
Yeah,
there was still 60,000 people there singing it.
Yeah.
So as much as Zach rolled his eyes, I do think he enjoyed the experience of being there, feeling it, and experiencing it.
Yeah.
So for me, £200, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even get my ticket to an adult game for £200 at the Emirates.
No.
It would probably cost me £400 or £500 just for my ticket.
Yeah.
Then them two, then travel.
Yeah.
It cost me probably £2,000 to take them to a men's game.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend the 60 or 70 quid it cost me to take them to Macclesfield or Stafford.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I've made the decision now to go back to Germany. You know, I feel valued. I feel validated.
Well, plus if you're not going to Germany,
you
could just message me and go, what are you doing on Saturday? Do you fancy going to Macclesfield?
That's me.
Do you fancy going to Stafford, Hensford?
Yeah, my other plan
Tamworth
is to do the 72.
There you go. See, there's always things.
So, I mean, I said to the grandson, because the grandson has really taken the villa on board, so we can't just do nothing and have a void. But what I have said to him is, look, mate, let's do the 72 then. Let's skip the Premier League, and between you and I, we'll do it. So, for example, during a half-term break, say, come the next half-term, which is, February, if, for example, Morecambe are at home on the Tuesday night and Blackpool on the Wednesday, we'll just go and...
Can I recommend a ground that I took Ethan?
You can.
When Matt got promoted from National League, before they folded, they got promoted in 2018.
Yeah.
You'll see I've got a couple of banners around with the National League champions thing. When they got promoted, I said to Ethan, I don't care what the first game of the season is, I'm taking you.
Yeah.
It just so happened it was Swindon away.
Oh, okay.
It was a really good experience.
Okay.
Now, I'd never been there.
Yeah.
And obviously I drive. I don't do public transport to football matches. So I drove down to Swindon.
Yeah.
What I didn't know is where you park.
Right, okay.
So Mac were 2-1 up.
Yeah.
Till the 94th minute or something. We gave away a penalty.
Yeah.
And then in the 96th minute, we gave away another penalty. We ended up losing 3-2.
Yeah.
And they were both penalties, by the way.
You've done a Tottenham, have you?
But I was parked in the Swindon end.
Yeah.
So as me and Ethan are coming out the ground, both wearing Mac stuff.
Yeah.
All the Swindon fans were coming out, and we were in their parking lot.
Yeah.
And, we got a lot of hassle, but it was good-natured, fun, and some of it, to be fair, was actually quite funny. I found myself laughing to the car. There was at no point, and there was hundreds of them around us.
Yeah.
At no point did I think we were threatened or there was any kind of, I don't like this. It was all very good-natured, very fun, and I couldn't recommend Swindon enough for an away day.
Well,
it was a decent stadium as well, to be fair.
That's the beauty. I mean, as I say, I've had my 50 years of the Villa, but actually, I feel so great about just saying, no, that's enough for me. Because as I say, I've got the 72 to look forward to. I've got my trips to Europe to look forward to.
And more if you include non-league.
And more. So, I mean, I'll get my football fix. So, in many ways, it's kind of the shackles have been taken off. And I think it is such a shame that they've gone down this
that expression, says it all.
Yeah.
The fact that you now feel like you are unchaining yourself from your football team speaks volumes.
But I'm not the only one. The amount of people, sometimes in business you talk about the psychological contract, between employer and employer and what have you. And the psychological contract between a football club and its supporters has been massive. It is, as I say, I've come back off my honeymoon one day early so I could go and watch the Villa. I've known people
at least the wife knew what she was in for.
She did. She did. And as I say, it's just such a shame it's ended this way. But as I say, I'm not the only fan. I know a number of fans of Premier League clubs who've just turned around and said, "Do you know what? No more.
Enough's enough.
And enough's enough."
I think when you're paying and you're nowhere near Arsenal, by the way.
No.
But when you're paying £650 or whatever it is for a season ticket, and then just your grandson is costing you £120 for a shirt.
Yes.
Which is costing them £11 to make.
Yeah. Oh, if that.
And you're paying £120 for it.
Yeah.
You're just gonna feel like we are gonna literally drain every drop of cash out of you.
Correct.
who wants to feel like that in any situation?
Yeah, but this is what I say, coming back, you got your season ticket, but then if I go, including, say, cup games and that, say it's 25 a year, I've got 25 lots of train fares to pay out.
Oh, yeah, on
both
top.
me and the grandson on
Yeah.
top. Very often...
If you miss that last train, you've then got a hotel.
What we do, we stay over. We play Brighton on the 30th of December.
At Brighton or at...
No,
Aston?
at Villa Park. We got Newcastle away. God knows who bought these football fixtures out. We got Newcastle away on Boxing Day.
Oh, brilliant! That's a good one.
Just the kind of journey you want. And we
Jim's done that for Southampton, by the way.
Oh, bless. Yeah.
The travelling, not much fun. The game we really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy the travel at all, by the way, on Boxing Day.
But no, we stay over. I mean, me and the grandson have probably stayed in the Premier in Birmingham a good dozen times now. But as I say, that's something else, as I say, which will go, and really we have to do it simply because logistics means I either drive, and I've got my car. I drove to the game yesterday because of the storm, but I prefer public transport.
It makes life a bit easier, doesn't it?
And as I say, night games at the Villa. It's just literally pretty nigh damn impossible to get from Villa Park back into town to get the last train back. So, yeah, as I say, we've had some fantastic times, but we're looking forward to the next challenges, and as I say, we're really ready to embrace them, and just have a fantastic time doing non-league, doing the 72, going off to Germany, and I suppose the thing is as well, doing that as a bit of a neutral. That's fine as well.
It's more enjoyable because there's no pressure on your day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just go to enjoy the stadium, the atmosphere, the surroundings,
the
people, because you can talk to any of them.
Absolutely.
Because there's no rivalry with any of them, so you can just go and enjoy it.
Yeah, coming back to the Junior Rangers initiative, that's the same, isn't it? People want to talk about football.
Of course they do.
And so
of course they do. And I think the thing is like you said, because Shane does struggle with certain things, and as he said, like he's not well. He suffers with his health, but he is 6'4", 6'5",
yes.
and he's got a bald head, and he's quite imposing.
Yes.
If he was going to go and interview people,
yes,
their initial thought is going to be very different to them two 12-year-olds going up and interviewing them.
Yes.
And like I say, the Mac fans absolutely loved it.
Yes.
Because they don't just... They're not rude. They're not cheeky.
Yes.
But they will challenge you in what they're asking and what they're saying. And they'll be a bit cheeky with it. They're very, very good at what they do, and they're very funny.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be harder if it was Shane doing it, just because of the way he looks, because he is a big, imposing guy.
Yeah.
So I think that helps diffuse it as well. And obviously, with you going with your grandson...
Yeah.
That will diffuse anyone that you go and talk to, because you're going there with a young kid.
Yeah.
Who's just interested in football.
Well, coming back to the grandson, he's 15, but he's 6'2", and takes a size 12 shoe.
Oh, wow.
And he struggles to get in the size 12 shoe, yeah. I think he's ate lots and lots of broccoli, so I think when he's fully grown, he's going to be about a 6'6".
He'll be quite imposing, man.
But he's the most mild-mannered lad. I've spent a lot of quality time with a grandson at the football, and again, that's what I say. Looks can be deceptive, because people would look at him.
Shane's a lovely guy.
Yeah,
you know yourself,
absolutely.
You know him, he's a lovely guy, but he looks quite imposing, and that would be different if he was the one going to ask away fans questions.
Absolutely. But he has great social skills, a bit like his granddad, and we'll go and have chats with people, and because that's what we want,
You're always learning then as well,
embrace it. Well, if you embrace your days, you're embracing your life. Don't let good moments pass you by.
Definitely.
Because you're not going to get them again, and so we're going to embrace the kind of new footballing life we're going to make for ourselves. And we're going to enjoy absolutely every moment of it, because one day, certainly for me, I'm not going to be able to do it, so I'm going to do it now.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
I think that's going to be a good place to end the podcast.
Bless you. Well done.
But thank you very much for coming
everyone.
on. We did have him on 2 weeks ago, but the sound was awful. We've got an issue. We've got a really bad issue with one of our bits of equipment, which we didn't realise on the day.
Bless you. Okay.
So we have replaced it now, as you can see, and it does sound a lot better. So I'm really pleased you've come
More
back
than
on.
happy
So
to
thank
be
you
back.
to drag you out
great
again.
Stuff. No, it's great
and
stuff.
you've come out and you've done it for me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry the other two aren't here. Tim Rib's birthday.
Yeah.
And Jim got caught up at the last second.
Yeah.
Which is why Shane stepped in, at least to begin with, for us,
great
which I really
stuff.
appreciated. So yeah, we're going to leave it there this week,
Thank you.
and we will be back next week. And hopefully, at least one of the other two can be bothered to actually show up. We shall see you next week.